Representative Steve King from Iowa is one of the House's most conservative members. He's joining us now from Capitol Hill. Representative, thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on this morning.
I have a quote from you here that, when the shutdown first happened, you said, we passed the witching hour at midnight last night. The sky didn't fall. The roof didn't cave in. At this point, do you still feel that this shutdown isn't hurting anybody?
Well, of course it does. There are individuals across the country that are furloughed today that would like to be working and making money. That's true. But I was talking about the fear here in Congress that there would be a tremendous calamity if we got past what I called the witching hour at midnight when we went into this partial shutdown. It's not a full shutdown by any means. And I think now that sometimes you get into a decision that you just cannot make by anticipating all the contingencies. You have to be in the moment in order to make the decisions, and now I think the members of Congress have a clearer head. They can see what's really unfolding here. They can see the monuments being shut down in the middle of the time. They're spending money to shut our monuments down. They're seeing some spiteful acts take place out there. We're seeing some things we're sorry to see, and there will be a small snowball effect from each side that will roll here, and at some point one mass will get greater than the other. One size of that snowball will get greater than the other, and one side or the other is going to have to move. Now, we've put 4 proposals on the table, and the President and Harry Reid have brought nothing back. You can't negotiate with people that refuse to negotiate. It's just that simple right now.
You think it's fair to use people and services as pawns in a political battle? Shouldn't this just be about the 2 parties and how you figure it out, and not using the rest of us as leverage?
Well, I refuse to allow any of my staff to use the word fair, because no 2 people that disagree could agree on the definition of it. But if I were going to use the word, I would say, do you think it's fair to lock World War II veterans out of the World War II memorial? That was the first act that took place. It had to be ordered directly out of the Oval Office, and it was a spiteful act. If you saw those veterans come up there yesterday and the day before, they hadn't seen that memorial in their lifetime. It was built for them, and they were shut out. I think that's the image that Americans have in their minds right today. I want to see people come back to work, but I want to see the end of Obamacare. The public has rejected Obamacare, and every single month since it was passed on a partisan agenda. Thomas Jefferson said large initiatives should not be advanced on slender majorities, and he never considered the idea that there would be a large initiative passed on a purely partisan agenda. And then you hear the discussion about the Supreme Court found it constitutional. That was before Barack Obama just unilaterally and unconstitutionally changed Obamacare at least twice. So we don't know what we have for a law today, and that's part of this discussion too.
Will you carry this momentum about Obamacare right into the debt ceiling and through the deadline? Are you willing to collapse the credit of the United States in order to make your point?
I don't think the credit of the United States is going to be collapsed. I think that all this talk about a default has been a lot of demagoguery, a lot of false demagoguery. We have plenty of money coming in to service the debt. When we stop servicing the debt, that would be default. We're a long, long ways from that, and I think we need to have cool heads and get to a solution. That means the President needs to come to the table. Harry Reid needs to come to the table. We're looking for solutions. We're having meetings discussing that, but if the other side refuses to negotiate, then there's really nothing that can be done except to continue to offer to negotiate, and we'll be in this town until this is resolved. I don't think anybody's going home here in Congress.
Just to be clear, though, Congressman, when we get to October 16, 17, economists are just about unanimous on the effect it will have on markets, what it will do to interest rates, something that Washington can't fix, the way you can just restart the government. Are you saying you don't agree with any of that? You think it'll be okay if we blow through the debt ceiling deadline?
I remember the last time we came up with the debt ceiling deadline, and there was all of this talk that the Tea Party was going to collapse the economy. And even though the people that were opposed to increasing the debt ceiling essentially gave in and the debt ceiling was increased, they were still blamed for the effect on the market. So, sometimes if you have political opposition, they're never going to agree with you. That's what a lot of this is just the clash of ideals, and everyone's got an argument on both sides of this. But we need to get down to the clear part of this. The American people have rejected Obamacare. The President is willing to put all of that on the line to save his namesake piece of legislation, which I think could go down in history as the largest political tantrum ever.
Why is it the President putting his reputation, or whatever you want to call it, on the line when it is you and your faction that made the shutdown a condition of funding the government and dealing with Obamacare? You did that, not the President. Shouldn't it be on you?
I think we have to ask the Founding Fathers why they granted the authority to Congress then. It's all in Article 1. In the House of Representatives, we have to start all revenue bills by the originational clause. All spending starts here. They gave that authority to the House of Representatives because we're the closest to the people, and we're the most accountable to the people. And in 2010, 87 new freshman Republicans were elected to repeal Obamacare. Every one of them ran on that, and that's also the case for the 2012 class. The presidential election is the next thing to come up, and they will say, but Barack Obama was reelected. Yes, he was. The election really wasn't about repealing Obamacare. It was about jobs and the economy. Both sides beat that drum to the point where people forgot about everything else, and yet we're at this point now where if we allow Obamacare to be implemented, and then we can never recover from it. If there is a bump in the economic road, if there is a political penalty to be paid, we can recover from those things, but we can never recover if Obamacare is implemented on the American people, and it will diminish the trajectory of the American destiny by turning us into a dependency society. That's what's wrong with this, and I will hold my stand here as long as anybody will in this Congress, Chris.
All right, but hopefully you are able to balance what you believe about Obamacare with what you're told about what may happen to the economy, because there are a lot of families on the line. But, Representative, we appreciate you taking the time to come on New Day this morning. Good luck going forward. I hope you find a solution quickly.
I hope so, too. Thanks for having me on, Chris.
All right. Now let's head over